Alright, what is up, my YouTube boxing family? It's K-Rod here, back with another good video for today. I'm gonna make a quick little video. I'm gonna talk about Mikaela Mayers' boxing career. Her upcoming fight against a very difficult opponent, Maiva Hamadouche. She's a good fighter. She's a French fighter out of France, but I'm not gonna talk about that fight because I'm really not so interested of that fight. I think I already know who's gonna win that fight, but I'm probably gonna pull for Maiva, just simply because Maiva, blah, blah, blah. Just simply because Maiva, she's a heavy hitter, and Mikaela, she's not the type of fighter to do well against women that could actually give her problems on pressure. And I just think, like, as far as how Bob Arum has really treated women on Top Rank, it's been terrible, man. And I'm just gonna have like a really huge rant on why Top Rank doesn't support female boxing. And I want to say Bob Arum has really shitted Mikaela Mayers' career because I have yet to see this expansion of female boxing that Mikaela Mayer and Bob Arum really try to push the propaganda for that. Because if that was true, why aren't there more females on Top Rank? Why aren't there more girls that I've never seen fight before being put on the big stage like Top Rank? Do you realize, like, within the course of 2021, the only female fights that I was ever to see was Mikaela Mayer, Erica Farias versus Mikaela Mayer, and fucking, like, what else? Like, I think that's about it, honestly. Like, because if anything, there's really no other females I could see being put on Top Rank, because it's really disrespectful of how the women are just being absolutely shitted on, because I've yet to see that growth out of women's boxing on the bigger platform. And I mean, don't get it twisted, like, business is business in boxing, but you mean to tell me you can't pay women good enough to have them come onto the big stage? Like, give them at least $40,000-$60,000 a piece, which I know that's not a lot of money to boxing standards, but it's like, give the women some bread, man. Give these girls what they need to be paid for and get them in the ring. Because the only platform that I actually do have the utmost respect for female boxing, that's given girls, let the growth and drive to be a promotional, fitting for females, would be DAZN. At least Eddie Hearn, he's giving girls those, small minor opportunities. I'm pretty sure it's like nothing huge, Eddie Hearn being Eddie Hearn, just being, like the cheap piece of shit he is. But it just wouldn't cease to amaze me that Eddie Hearn, he is that type of promoter that, actually does care about female boxing, but female boxing is like not getting paid at at an all-time high. It's not like that, we've really seen any female fights be like a co-main event, or at least like be like the second or fourth fight on a good undercard where girls go at it and then they start fighting. Because the only women that I've really seen actually shine are like women from not really shine per se, but women that are getting a little bit of TV time would be like women from the UK, with like Ellie Scottney, Katie Taylor, Savannah Marshall. Like those women are doing decent. Like, Rihanna Dixon, April Hunter, like those girls are okay. But as far as like the American scene for women, I don't see no damn like fucking like what. Only women that I've really seen, especially on DAZN, is like Senicia Estrada and Marlon Esparza, but Marlon Esparza, like she was only good for like what, only like a couple cards, and then boom, that was it. Because Golden Boy, they really treat females like crap. And I mean, it's sad because it's like, I want to see let the girls be on PBC. I want to see, like, like a Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano on a PBC card. Like, put them on a fucking Erickson Lubin versus, I don't know, like some known super welterweight. I don't give a fuck, man. But it's just a really huge disappointment of how Top Rank is really treating the female fighters, because this has really been one of the worst years for women's boxing, in my honest opinion. And I just truly believe, like, where the state of boxing is right now, it's at an all-time low, man. And I don't know what to say. Like, is it just the promoters, or is it just like lack of financial gain that women do get from these fights, or is it just poor marketing and poor promotion of the fighters? Because I want to say it's everything, honestly, because I don't know what is really the main crux of this issue, but it seems like that the women are too afraid to speak up, because one, even if they are with a promoter, they can only say as much as they think they can say, but they can't say any more because the promoter is giving them a decent amount of money for them to live, not for them to like spend and ball out and actually make some good, huge investments outside of boxing. No, like that's not happening. It's like, to me, like I really feel bad more for the women than the men, which I do feel bad for the men, but come on, guys. Like, if you really want to make big money in boxing, even though that, exclude all the little guys in the little divisions, because those guys, they ain't making big money until they probably move up to like money divisions, like, like 130, 126 at least, or, at least like, I don't know, like 135 or and above. But though, like, those divisions for men are already set in stone, where the sport of boxing has like more sponsorship and more support for those fighters. But it's like for women's boxing, you could easily see, the huge malintent that these promoters and sponsors have against women, where the girls are just not being promoted correctly. They're not being, matched up correctly. And, you just see like the worst fights ever that nobody don't even want to see. And, look, I understand from a marketized perspective, like, women's boxing is absolutely crap. Like, how women's boxing has been moving, it's simply because that the fighters are not obviously coming together to actually speak against the corruption that's going on in boxing. The corruption in the promoters and the managers and the sanctioning bodies. Every single one of these dipshit people that are just dick riding against women's boxing. It's terrible. And the only women that are actually talking their shit and actually speaking against it is Amanda Serrano and Clarissa Shields. Much love to those queens. I love them till the day I die. But I just want to, send my regards to them, because Clarissa and Amanda are like one of the most prominent females that are speaking against the problems in women's boxing. So, salute to them. But the main issue is that fighters are not talking about it enough. And to all you ladies that are struggling, including some that I do personally know, I think that the word really needs to be exposed more. And I think this political suppression of fighters really needs to be worked against the boxing establishment more, where we start organizing better fights in boxing. And This is why that I really do advocate for a boxing fight league similar to that of a NBA type league where it is a national boxing association where all the best fighters in the world come together and they do compete, across the Atlantic and in America, let's just say for example, or wherever in the world to prove their worth of why they are the best in the world. And at least that way you could have like a competitive market chain system where you have different fight leagues where, the best always fight the best and then they can collide or collude with other fight leagues, and then they could bring their best fighters over there, and then you could bring your fighters over there, but everything's up to the fighters. So I mean, if those fighters really want to fight, or if that fighter wants to fight the other fighter, where that fighter is gonna try ducking the other fighter, they can't duck them because it's structured in a way where, especially like, on a universal level, I would theoretically, visualize it as that you can't avoid any fighters. You have to fight the best to be number one. Not like, oh, well, this owner of this fight league can just pick and choose what rankings are just put for a certain fighter, and then they could politically protect that fighter away from other. No, fuck that shit. But that's not how markets will work for those type of leagues per se. Because if that was true, the power rankings for the NBA would basically be biased to say that the Lakers are always going to be number one, yet they do crappy in the playoffs every single year, while having the best talent in the world to have them dominate and do the best things that they can do to try to win. And yet, they still end up losing. So the problem is that a lot of people don't want to see the best fight the best, especially fighters that have invested political interest with other fight networks and promoters. So they're gonna stand behind those, people in order for them to play point guard role, to have those fighters avoid other fighters that they don't want to fight. Because if boxing was a fight league structure, you wouldn't be able to get away with that. And even if you really did want to duck or avoid a certain fighter that you believe you can't beat, then you lose your spot. You should just be kicked off the particular ranking, or even if you are a champion, you should lose your position. So the problem with Mikaela Mayer is that the way she's been matched up against throughout her entire career, it hasn't really gone well. And the reason why is because Bob Arum knows that she's not the best fighter on earth, but she's decent enough to say the least that she's trying to be the best. But that's really the biggest problem with her, because if Mikaela Mayer, if she does end up losing against Maiva Hamadouche, then what's left for women's boxing? Nothing. Even if she loses and she does continue to get wins and try to, push her status for undisputed, or push her campaign of her career for undisputed, then okay, congratulations. But like, what do you do after that? It's like, Mikaela, like, she doesn't have anything else left when her time is up. Because the next line of women in the next 20 to 50 years, if not 100 years, even after I die and she dies, who's going to take over? That's really the biggest question. I don't know who's going to take over, but I'm not going to sit here and just say that women's boxing is just growing, because to me it's not. In my eyes, I don't see no fresh young female talent where you get a fucking like female version of Jaron Ennis. You're not gonna get somebody like that. That's gonna be such a rare fighter where you're not gonna get somebody like that. You're not gonna get a female Manny Pacquiao. You're not gonna get a female version of Keith One Time Thurman. Because those guys are built to be those type of fighters. But for certain women, there are some women that are technically and stylistically sound like that. But that is such a very high rarity because it's so difficult for those women to really get the proper training and the proper foundation to hone and master those type of skills to dominate a lot of women that they know that they could possibly beat. So the problem that I really have with this Mikaela Mayer situation is that Bob Arum and Top Rank have really treated women in the Top Rank industry or Top Rank stable really bad. And what Mikaela Mayer has really been done by Bob is just mainly she's just used like she's basically used as a puppet. Sadly, I don't see Mikaela Mayer really being promoted properly. I don't see her name really be talked about. I mean, even though that it's fight week and I've yet to hear of a press conference. Like, as much as I don't really care about the press conference because there's really no tickets probably being sold for this fight. Like, I know Joseph Adorno, he's fighting on this card, and I could literally just take a look at Tapology and it will tell me who is headlining this card. Because I know it's not Mikaela Mayer. Because it's really sad that she's not, really being promoted like the way she claims that she's being promoted for. But I mean, hey, look, like when you're comfortable enough to do things at Top Rank where you think that your career is set in stone and you can get away with so many things, for the rest of your, career, it really doesn't make yourself any better because it's bad enough that she probably thinks that she's given everything correctly, but I just don't see it. I'm very sorry. But yeah, I guess she's headlining. So we got these fighters. We have Martis McGregor and R. Montgomery, and then we got Jalen Phillips and Abdullah Mason. Then we got the homie Tyler Howard versus this weird guy Ian Green. That should be a good fight. Never heard a lot about that guy, but I like watching fights like that. At least 55-45 matchups. Then we got Andres Cortez versus Mark Bernaldez. Oh fuck yeah. Yeah. At least we get some decent fights, and then we got a good little Puerto Rican Luis Melendez. Yeah, he's a 130 pounder, I think. Yeah. Yep. Luis Melendez. Yeah, so I mean it's not bad, man. I mean it's decent to say the least. It's not a bad card, but at the same time, we have to be honest, bro. Like Mikaela Mayer, she's not being promoted, right? She has yet to really been talked about. And last time I checked, she was gonna fight the day before Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury on a Friday. So, why the switch up, Bob Arum? Because he knows damn well, like, Mikaela Mayer, she can't sell. Like there's nobody that's not going to ever know who she is because she's not doing anything. I mean, it's sad, but at the end of the day, it's like, if she's comfortable to the point where she believes like everything is, set in stone for her, then I don't blame her. But at the same time, man, it's really nothing to really, be surprised about because these women at Top Rank really don't get this good treatment that everyone says that, that they do. And I just find it really hard to believe that, a woman like Mikaela is the only person on Top Rank and they've barely done any promotion for her for the past, 2 weeks? You know, they've somewhat put her name on there. You know, on certain like, fight, commercials that Top Rank had, or just like little like, feature messages to give you like the rundown of like their schedule. But it's like, it's really nothing special. You know what I'm saying? Like it's something that you would already expect to be like, okay, I already know what's gonna happen leading up to this point. But it's like nobody from the boxing public is gonna care about Mikaela Mayer. But if you made her, like, let's just say, a co-main event to Terrence Crawford and Sean Porter, that would be good, because at least you got eyes on, and you at least have a decent crowd that's gonna pull up, and everyone's gonna want to see Sean Porter and Terrence Crawford. But ain't no way in hell nobody gonna basically go all the way out to where, Vegas, right? This is where this fight's at. Yeah, this is all the way out in fucking Vegas at the Virgin Hotels. Get the fuck out of here, man. Like, you're meaning to tell me you're going to promote a fight the day before Canelo and Plant on a Saturday that's going to be pulled up in Vegas. So the people that are showing up for Plant and Canelo are going to show up to Mikaela and my like, no, nobody ain't gonna show up to a Mikaela Mayer fight on a Friday and then go and watch Canelo and Plant tomorrow. I mean, yeah, maybe they'll just walk in and probably watch, let the fight, but it's like that probability rate is so bad to the point where it don't make any damn sense. If anything, it would be better to have Michaela's fight be put on Plant and Canelo card, and they could at least be like at least let the final fight before the co-main event. They should be like the third to last two fights of the main event card, for the co-main event and the main event. Because I already know that that the undercard is trash. So, I mean, I'm just I'm just saying. But either way, that's pretty much what I have to say. I love Mikaela Mayer. She she's an amazing woman. But I'm just gonna keep it 100 with her, man. She's been promoted really, really bad, and I don't know what's left for her once she is done with her career, because I don't see her making it far for undisputed. I think her biggest contemporaries or her biggest challenges would be Terry Harper or Alicia Baumgardner. To which those of you that don't know, Alicia Baumgardner, she'll be fighting Terry Harper, I believe on November 13th or some shit. But that'll probably be like next week or something like that. So yeah, stay tuned for that. That's gonna be a pretty interesting fight. I'm gonna favor Alicia, stopping her, because I don't see Terry holding up to her athletic ability that she possesses, and some of the technical boxing skills that will probably frustrate her and then lead her to being defeated late game. But either way, that should be a really interesting fight. But yeah, I don't know, man. I just think what Bob Arum has done for women's boxing, especially on the Top Rank stable, it's been shit. Women are not being treated properly on Top Rank. And I understand, like, on the PBC, like, they're not doing good. They're not doing any better either, because the PBC really is just mostly targeted for male boxers, and that's really like their biggest promotional stable. Like, they're just only having like a bunch of good fights here and there, and most of their fights are like actually bigger premier cards, like Jerron Boots Ennis, Errol Spence, Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, or if you want to have like some of what the up and coming contender slash, you know, like I guess if you want to call them prospects, but I don't believe in that word. I would call them I would call them rookies, but let the rookie to contender level fighters, they be hosting their own main events and shit like that. Like plenty of fighters like David Benavidez, fucking Gervonta Tank Davis, anybody that is on the PBC stable, which I mean the PBC is not like fully built with their roster. Not to say that PBC is always the best way to go, because PBC has their flaws simply for selecting and choosing what fighters that they want to promote based off of what the fans are, racially biased for, because that's really how PBC is operating. Because even with Top Rank, they do the same exact thing. We're trying to say that, well, these are our fighters, but you can see that the political, selection or favoritism with certain fighters off of Top Rank that are favored to be, one of their biggest prize fighters, or just, hype job legacy fighters like, Vasil Lomachenko and, those types. So I truly believe with Mikaela Mayers, she's definitely being hyped up a little bit too much, just simply because that her skill set is not to the level of what we can consider good. And like I said, I love Mikaela. Like I don't have any shade towards her. I don't throw no shade at her. But that's only in boxing. I mean, outside of her boxing antics, she's been a little bit suspect, especially how she's been talking towards certain fighters and how she's been moving outside of the sport. And I don't really, go so deep into that, but definitely her actions really do speak for, for herself. And I don't have really anything hateful to say towards her. I mean, besides her trying to dick ride for Tyson Fury, it's like I don't really give a shit about that. I mean, at the end of the day, like I believe that when you are a professional fighter, you should keep your fan base neutral, and you should not try to keep yourself, or you'll like I guess like whatever positions that you come out in public, you should always keep your fan base to a neutral position, because you don't want to piss off your fan base and put yourself in a worse position to make it harder for you to gain more fans to show up to your fights. Because that's the biggest problem with Mikaela. Maybe sometimes what she does say in public or outside of the public sphere does not interest a audience based on what she says or who she's associated with. So she could easily be treated in that manner to be politically suppressed, where nobody doesn't want to see her fights because she's not interesting. She has a really like unpopular personality that people don't want to hear from you, and she has poor marketing skills herself, so she's not really in any position to even try to market properly. Not to say that she can't sell, but look at what she's done. She's let everything basically be put into the hands of Bob Arum. And Bob Arum is just basically just screwing her life away, because she doesn't have that much left. She's basically like, I don't want to say Terrence Crawford, but she's obviously emulating Crawford's Crawford's methods. She's trying to take I guess the best fights possible, which is good, but at the same time Bob Arum knows that he can try to make these fights happen, But at the same time, you know, are we really gonna see like any superstardom out of her? No, I don't see Mikaela Mayer gaining superstardom, but I do see her only being there as a useful asset until Bob is like, okay, I don't need you no more. So she could easily be thrown away to the wolves and just be kicked out of Top Rank because that's how Bob Arum is. He just takes you in, uses you up, and once you're done, then he basically spits you out, and then he puts you at a disadvantage. And I mean, I just kind of feel like that's really what the nature of top rank fighters are, because they don't have a plan B. They're just always sticking with the plan A, and just hoping for the best that nothing bad happens, because reasons. So I don't know, man. I just think you know what the women's stable at top rank or the female stable at top rank is so bad, to the point where these women gotta really start speaking up about it, or they just gotta leave, man. They definitely gotta leave, and probably just you know start petitioning to try to give women more media exposure to fight on other platforms. Because at least if DAZN can give him that opportunity, and Eddie Hearn can definitely generate more money if he's able to do that and able to set up those fights. I don't see why not, because there's a good load of women that can fight, but just put them on TV and let's see what happens. But yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys later. Thank you. Bye.